Good morning. This is Lynda Reider and Gretchen Moen. We are off the cuff for Cut the Clutter RVA. And today we wanted to talk to you guys about something we call the messy middle. The messy middle is part of every single project that we get into. And we call it the messy middle because every single project that you tackle is going to get worse before it gets better. And we feel like most people understand this, and that's kind of why they sometimes are slow to do the project. They put it off for someday because that's when the decisions will get made, right? And what do you think about that, Ms. Moen?
Yes, I would also add that inherent in the messy middle is kind of a couple different ways that it gets messy, right? Physically, it gets messy because you've got everything pulled out in at least a certain category, and you're kind of, you're dealing with all of the things and all the decisions. But because there are decisions involved, it also can be emotionally messy, especially if you're dealing with items that are emotionally charged. So it's messy in a couple of ways. And I almost liken the feeling around it, especially like at the beginning of the project before you start, and then sometimes when you're in the messy middle, it's like you almost have butterflies. It's kind of like an anxiousness. So just know that that's kind of par for the course. And if you can kind of embrace it and get through it, you can have success at the end. So what we believe, and this is no surprise, that you need a plan, right? If you have a plan, you're going to be able to deal much better with this messy middle. So we're going to break it down today into 7 steps for your plan to get through the messy middle, to make it less scary. Yes. And I'm going to start with step 1. And it's a pretty easy step, right? The first thing you want to do is you want to go into your space and take a plethora of before pictures, right? You want to be able to capture that. Part of why you're capturing that is so you can look back on it once you've done what you need to do, and you can kind of be like, wow, I came so far, right? And that will help you with your next decluttering project. So that's part of it, but also just because you want to document. This is a lot of work. Document your progress. Be able to show people. It's exciting. So that's step 1. Lynda, what's step 2?
Ask questions. Step 2 is to ask a whole lot of questions. And when I say a whole lot, I've got a handful, right? So the first one is, how do I want this space to function? Whether it's a closet or a kitchen or a laundry room, you should have a goal for your space. The next question you should have is, what's stopping you from using the space in that capacity right now? Do you need different tools and supplies? Is physical capacity an issue? You need to think about the things that are in your way that you need to let go of to free up that space. You need to decide if the project is going to require a budget, and if it's something you're going to need to save up for, or if it's something you can go ahead and take care of right now. And finally, what is your timing? Because earlier when we said, I'm going to do that someday because there are so many thoughts and decisions to it, you really need to put a timeline to it so you can check off the little steps to get you there. What do we have for number 3?
Number 3 is, so you're going to break your plan into steps, right? This is where you're going to start. You're not doing the work yet. You are still in the planning process. You've taken your pictures, you've asked your questions, and now with the answers to those questions, you're able to start to document a plan. And it's not going to be a perfect plan. It's just going to be how you're going to move forward, right? It's going to be suggestions of steps and ideas. So the way that we recommend that you do this is look at those before photos again and start to think about the space in sections. In other words, like if you're tackling your closet, maybe you want to think about it in terms of just your tank tops at first, right? Like you could break it into sections so that the project isn't as big, it's not as overwhelming, you can focus kind of on one thing at a time. So, and my recommendation is write this down, right? Like the answers to the questions, you could write those down. This part, definitely write down because it's part of holding yourself accountable and remembering, honestly, what's next, right? Some rooms have a lot of different sections. So if you write down your sections and then start to write down like some of the steps you would take for each section, and think about that relative to like your overall goals too, right? And I think what you'll see could start to come out of that is kind of a prioritization of the sections and how you might break up the work. At this point, you're also going to want to be thinking about the time you have available, right? If you know you only have a couple of hours, certainly just choose one section. So document all of this and just kind of put it in a list for yourself, and give yourself some steps forward. Even if they're not the right steps, it's okay because it's getting you to get into the project and taking the steps. And that's the most important thing. So what's step 4?
Step 4 is to prepare your space and to prepare your mind. So when I say that, I think about when I'm super busy at work, right? Or I've got a to-do list that's a mile long. And I come into my office and I've got all of these other distractions that are in my way. I clear the distractions first, and then I can get to work. I want to minimize what is in my way. Sometimes that is physical things like your coffee cups and your phone and your makeup, whatever is on your desk. That's what's on my desk right now. But sometimes it's also the clutter that's in your mind, telling you all of the reasons that you can't do this or this isn't going to work. And what you really need to tell yourself is, yeah, but I just made this really cool plan right here. And it's an evolving plan. I cannot tell you how often Gretchen and I go into a home with a certain plan, but we have to kind of just switch it up as we go along. It happens all of the time. It doesn't mean you failed. It just means that the needs changed as you kind of went through. So you need to expect that and be prepared to embrace what you're about to walk into. Number 5.
Number 5. So this is the heart of the messy middle. Get ready, folks. No, it's all good. But basically, you're going to follow your plan, right? So you are going to use the steps that we often talk about. You're going to take everything out. Now, that could be, if you've determined that you're doing it in sections, that might just be a section, might just be your tank tops, in other words. If you have a lot of time, maybe it's everything in your closet, right? It depends on your time and your energy and all of that. So you're taking everything out. You're also doing a scavenger hunt. Okay, so what we mean by that, when we talk about that a lot, is the tank tops in your closet might not be the only tank tops that you own. There might also be tank tops in a dresser drawer. There might be tank tops in the laundry room. There might be tank tops in your daughter's room. There might be tank tops in your gym bag. Find all the tank tops, do the scavenger hunt, because you really want to think about it and make decisions knowing you have all of your tank tops. You're going to sort and categorize, right? So with tank tops, with that example, you might sort them into colors, right? All your black ones, all your white ones, all your gray ones, whatever it is, because then you can see, oh, well, I have, 25 black tank tops. One person maybe doesn't need that many. So I can start to make my decisions. I can see everything there. As you're going through these things, just put anything that's going to go away, that's leaving your possession, in a go pile. We'll talk about the go pile in a minute. You don't have to worry about where it's going. Just put it in a go pile. Also, give yourself the grace of having a pile that is things you're not sure, right? None of us can make all the decisions right away. So anything you're not sure if you want it or not, set it aside in a question pile. And again, we'll address that in the next step on how you deal with that. Also, very important during this step 5, during the messy middle, take during pictures. In other words, document how messy it is, physically, how messy it is, with all the tank tops out and all the stuff in the closet or whatever you're working on. Show yourself how messy it was, because again, that's going to be proof to you that you took this situation that got really messy and you did it. and you can do it again. So it's going to help you build your confidence and your momentum in the future. So
Step 6. We are going to finish up all of the piles that we were not sure about what we were going to do with, whether it was trash, donate, recycle, sell, haven't made a decision on. Now's the time to review them. And it's a beautiful time to review them because now you can see exactly what you have. You may have gone into this project thinking you were going to sell a lot of things, or perhaps you thought you were going to donate everything to Goodwill. But as you've gone through, you realize, well, I really don't have anything to sell, or it makes more sense for it all to be donated to the SPCA rather than to Goodwill because of the types of items that you have decided to pull out. So use this as an opportunity not to be overwhelmed again, but to be able to make really intentional decisions about the things that you are letting go of and give them a new home and new purpose. So I think that will take us to our final step, which is number 7.
Number 7, everybody's favorite step, honestly, because when you've reached number 7, you've pretty much made it through the messy middle. You've made it through the messy middle. This is where the messy middle becomes the beautifully organized space, because step 7 is reload and rejoice. So we have lots of tips related to reloading. We won't go through those right now. You can always ask us questions about that. But just know it means you made it through the messy middle. And you can look back at your photos of the before and the during. Take your after photos too, so that you can show anybody who you want to show and you want to kind of be like, I did this. You can show them all 3, right? Before, during, and after. And use it as inspiration for yourself moving forward too, because you'll see, you'll want to do more of these projects.
And share them with us. We love to see before and after pictures and cheer people on. So share with us, please. We love that. Thank you all so much for joining us today for another episode of Off the Cuff with Cut the Clutter. This is Moen. I appreciate you today just as much as always. You were phenomenal.
Oh, so are you. Thank you.
Have a great day. And